The ground is like there. Feel the static in the air. Exchange rising, we don't care about the fear you're clinging there. Step in line, hear the beat drop. Body, mind, so we don't stop. Trade up, trade it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly. March to the future, beyond glow. Through the fire we will grow. Every move a deadly flow. Next gen rising, let it show. Eyes ahead, the rhythm calls. Stand up tall, we break the walls. Trade up, trade it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Next Gen Training here on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, the coach in the building, Coach Berg. And certainly it's our pleasure again to share another evening with you guys, just trying to give you guys some principles, some basics, some how-tos on how to succeed, certainly in the world. We tend to go into a lot of different areas: physical, intellectual, spiritual, emotional health. And so we like to explore those areas. I know the last 3 weeks we've been giving you some details, some information. Again, we don't claim to be experts in any particular area, but we do recommend that you certainly seek that out. We just kind of give you some guidance, some basics in terms of what direction to kind of go into. So we appreciate you guys being with us tonight. Certainly make sure when you come in, make sure you hit the like button as you come in. We appreciate it. Also consider becoming a subscriber to the Sparta HQ Network. Certainly, we appreciate the volume and the following. And certainly, when you do come in tonight, we certainly welcome you to be part of our chat. Certainly post your comments and your questions there. We'll try to answer them as the shows goes on. And but also just as just some ground rules. If you are going to be in the chat tonight, we just want to make sure, again, no personal attacks, insults, or threats. Avoid offensive language, including slurs based on race, gender, religion, or sexual orientation. Be courteous and polite to other viewers. And, so that's all we really ask for in this space. But again, good to be with you guys. And certainly looking forward to another informational show tonight. And then the following shows after that, I think we're going to get into more personal, more relational topics. Certainly, I have some good ideas, some shows to come up. So we're definitely looking forward to sharing that with you guys as well. But before we get headlong into this thing, first of all, Coach, how are you doing tonight, sir? And how are your pies?
Oh, what's up, brother, man? Can you hear me pretty good?
You're a little shallow, sir. We can amp it up a bit.
Is that better right there?
It's better, yeah.
That's better.
But it's still a little low. Can you just crank it up?
Testing. Is that better?
It's getting better each time, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know, man. I'll be messing with my mic so much. I have one of these mics That can sit
How's
down
my
on
volume?
the
Am
desk.
I coming in pretty good?
I can sit it on the desk, and yeah, but no, man, man, it's been a good week, man. It's been a good week, man. Taking care of a lot of things, man. Things are just in the works, and I have nothing to complain about. Again, man, as we discussed yesterday, my birthday was Super Bowl Sunday, so
Yeah, happy birthday again.
I don't know if that's probably the first time, but man, I got everything I wanted for my birthday, and it's looking better even today. But no, man, just representing my Black History Month red tails, man. Just I love
Shout
that
out.
whole
Yes,
story.
sir. Yes,
I got
sir.
me a little jacket. I got the little, VA and stuff. But I just love
Yes,
that
sir.
whole time, man. The whole process of just the engineering and the intuitiveness and working together and
Hmm.
camaraderie, man. I just build off that.
Hmm.
I saw your pops, man, over there with his little Navy Army suit on. Salute the
Yeah.
pops, man.
Yes,
Salute
sir.
to him, man. And it's
Yes,
funny,
sir.
my father would be 80, man. Your pops was an older guy, wasn't
He'd been 90. He would have been 93 this year.
he? Yeah, my pops would have been 82 this year.
Hmm.
So to
Hmm.
see that, man, with your pops, man, salute, man. Yeah, man, give it up to the veterans,
Yes,
man. Give
sir.
it up
Yes,
to
sir.
pops, man. It might be
Absolutely.
some benefits that you might be able to get, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Un-
it can do some good things for you, but we'll see
yeah,
what's happening.
for
Uh,
sure.
no, man, like I said, man, I don't know what to say, man. I'm in a point of life, really, I don't know if my body gonna hold up, but I still stay active. A lot of it's neurological and
Hmm.
joints and
Hmm.
things, and I try to do as much as they recommend. And I'm in physical therapy now, but the dude was like, "Man, it ain't too much I can do. We gonna work with it, though." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna participate because I
Hmm.
want to stay moving and active as much as I can."
Right.
I'm glad that I've did my work ahead of time where I don't have to work.
Yeah.
See, I'm secure enough in that, regardless of where America go, I'm gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Because if it had to revert to something outside of cash money, I
Hmm.
know how to live off the land. So,
Right. Right.
so I just embrace it, and hopefully it all, if it does go up in flames, hopefully we done lived it out. I don't want to see the destruction. I want to be already under the earth, secured in my spot where I'm gonna be with my soul, and just look. That's how I look at it. So, no, man, I'm just in a good space, man, and I'm excited, to be here and excited to see how me and my wife are growing and stuff, man. I let her. She talked online last week. You know,
Mm.
I let her hear
Okay.
her voice and stuff because there
Okay.
was, I'm like, man, let me show it. And she got on there and shut everybody up. So awesome.
Really? What show is this?
It was a guy's show I be on, man. Guy called Drip, right? And it'd be a variety of people coming
Hmm.
through, variety of topics, and it's a show for younger adults, but they trying to figure it out. They ain't,
Hmm.
they ain't just pointing the fingers all the time. It's different topics, and I go over there sometime when I'm bored. But I like the show though because it keeps a good vibe, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm over trying to give them as much good game as I can,
Hmm.
But I'm here, man, brother Bennett, man. I, I may have to officially retire for real, right? Because it's hard. I'm fighting it. It's hard. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's like I'm still in play mode.
Mm.
So but I think this summer I really tell the truth for me, right? I pray on it. I just try to keep a clear head and but I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it physically. That's the thing that disappoints me the most.
Mm.
But it's
And
been
when you say do what specifically, what are you referring
uh,
to?
coach
Okay,
sports.
gotcha,
You know what I'm
gotcha,
saying?
gotcha.
Because I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
coach a
That's yeah, it's
variety.
a grind.
I'm.
Yeah.
I don't. I wouldn't go back into the school under that dynamic unless I
Hmm.
have my own program assessment,
Right,
my own
right,
program mentoring
right,
under my
right.
name. You know what I'm saying? Fun. But I'm past that. I ain't
Yeah.
got
Well,
that
plus, I
fight.
mean, the stress of
Yeah.
doing that, especially now, I could see if you were in it. Like, I think some coaches, they go into coaching, they never quit. I mean, they they die as coaches.
Yeah.
But to be out of the game for a while, and then certainly it was a very bold effort for you last year to kind of get back into the game and whatnot. And you saw what that was like, and certainly it has some benefit to it. But yeah, but that's taxing, especially at your age, and just with the physical issues that you're still kind of dealing with now. Is that is just going to be an added layer of stress that you may not need at this time in your life. So, but look, you might need to be the coach of the coaches. Maybe almost like an AD kind of role. You let you let the you let the you let
Nah,
the
that
younger
would
coaches. Was it?
nah, brother Ben, that wouldn't work, right? Because the AD is dealing with more. You don't. You're more isolated as an athletic director. You don't have that. We can bring y'all in as a group and talk about the. You don't have that ability as an
Hmm.
AD. But
Right.
and I'll say this about coaching though. I could coach, and I believe my method stands true to time. Um, I've seen the results even on the levels that I've into. I it's like I embraced this coaching level. I embraced it. You know what I'm saying? I had opportunities to go beyond, but I found my niche with that mind in transient, that
Hmm.
young mind that can go on and be great. I
Right.
was good right there
Hmm.
because I had the skills, I had the tools I needed to be okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, the stress when it comes to the kids, I embrace that. I embrace that stress than
Hmm.
to have adult stress.
Hmm.
See, I can embrace that because that stress can be molded, But
Right.
and I understood I couldn't deal with adults. But if I would have had the opportunity to go coach like to the NFL, I would have took that, no doubt. Like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Even if you fire me, at least I'm there. you
Right.
know. But now, man, now in life, man, like you said, man, just I can look back and say I'm still having the best. I don't know, man. My life has been good for a lot of years, even
Yeah.
with the mistakes I made.
No doubt.
So we're gonna be all right, man. I'm here
Yeah.
to stay.
It's interesting. Just some of the points that you had made. Just kind of share what's going on with me. I mean, everything. Physically, I'm good. Uh, my wife, she's got a little bit. She's got some of the joint stuff, arthritis. I kind
Get
of
some
messing with
water,
her a
brother,
little bit.
man. Get some water, man. You good.
Uh, I know we'll call me there, but arthritis. I'm messing with her a little bit, and so she's doing what she needs to do to kind of deal with that, spiritual therapy and some medication and things like that to kind of counter some of that stuff. So we all kind of get old at some point, but I'm happy that generally speaking my joints are still pretty good. I have a little some with the arm a little bit. I'm always working on my grip and my forearm strength and whatnot, but otherwise feeling pretty good. But I had attended and this is totally off subject of tonight, but I wanted to just because you sort of brought it up a little bit. Um, it was like sort of like a men's ministry group that got together.
Okay.
Now I was invited to it. It's
Right,
interesting. The
right,
guys who
right.
invited me, they didn't even show up. So they
Oh,
said, it was like a
man.
Zoom call. It was like a Zoom call kind of thing. So
Okay.
I'm on the phone. I'm just listening because
Okay.
this is kind of like their group and everything. So I was just sort of taking in what they were saying.
I got you.
And it was just interesting to me that a lot of the, um, you mentioned the Tuskegee Airmen, the Red Tails, uh, and I just thought about how, like, a lot of the conversation was like, how you overcome stresses and challenges of today and whatnot. And just in the back of my mind, something just kept telling me, what stresses and challenges are you talking about? I mean, it's like you dealing with first world problems. But if you go back to the Red Tails, if you go back to the real OGs of old, they lived in a much harsher world. They really didn't care about your feelings or whatever. So in my mind, and they're trying to give spiritual guidance from the
Right.
scriptures and things of that nature, which I always appreciate. And it's coming from there. But I think that a lot of times it's almost like um, you're trying to take away your problems instead of getting stronger to overcome your problems. And that's just something. And I wanted to, like I said, I didn't feel it was my place because I was just like in my mind, I was just kind of building up in my mind. Like these guys saying, man, things are hard, and stress at work, stress at job, stress with the fam, and whatnot. It's like, are you kidding me? Because if you didn't have that stress, how are you going to get strong? I mean, the body, just being a trainer, you being a coach, we're built for stress, you know? And if you keep harping on the issues and not dealing with doing the work to overcome the issues, and then some guys, they sometimes they take it to almost like a spiritual thing, almost like, well, kind of just pray your problems away. I don't think it works that way
Straddling the
either.
fence. They straddling the fence.
I'm like, it doesn't work that way either. I mean, it's like, look, there's, I think two things. I think one, I think you live by the level of your expectation. And I think for a lot of people, sometimes you get into this thing, well, because I'm this or that or whatever, everything will be good and God's got me and God will take care of me and God supply all my needs and all that kind of stuff. And you're upset when it doesn't happen that way. But again, it was never supposed to be easy for any of us. I don't want to get overly spiritual here, but even in Genesis, God said, you will work the earth by the sweat of your brow.
It's true.
We were built for work. So what made you think that you wouldn't have to work or struggle in this world? So that, to me, that's the first kind of mindset thing, but it's just like exercise. And guys who will train with me, I tell them all the time, if you're not willing to work, you're not going to like this workout at all, but you'll be better for it because you did it. And so my trainer was kind of coming out of me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you want me to take a few plates off for you? No, we put an extra plates on. We put another 5 pounds on.
Mm-hmm.
And we going to get through this. So sometimes it's just, I think sometimes even with the spiritual aspect, I think sometimes we over-spiritualize solutions. And you also have to take into account a lot of the problems that you complain about are oftentimes problems of your own making. Because you decided in your youth to act a fool, and you created some problems and situations that if you would have had some wisdom, if you would have listened to some of the OGs, if you listen to and I'm not tooting our own horn here, but if you listen to us, you might have saved yourself some grief. So you wouldn't have to be dealing with things that you made or decisions that you made. So again, I appreciated, the group. I'm always going to appreciate when brothers come together and in fellowship and whatnot. All those are good things. But sometimes it just builds up in me. Sometimes I just want to get up there and be like, look, just want to slap some guys around and be like, yo, wake up, brothers. I mean, this is we supposed to be men, and to people talk about soldiers and warriors, leaders and all this kind of stuff. It's like we need to, build up, get physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually strong, and go out there and conquer this world the way it's supposed to be conquered. And but I held my tongue because, like I said, I didn't feel it was my place. Now, if my boys were there, if they were, if they introduced me and I had, hey, you asked them to say, I might have said something maybe not as bold as what I just said, but it was just building up in me that, and God's talking about, oh man, these times is hard. I got my wife, I got my kids, what do you think life's supposed to be about?
Yeah.
And so I guess that's one thing, even with this platform that we have, I guess, just looking at what we've done in the last few months, since last year, in fact, a couple months to be a year since we've done this. Amazing how the time flies. But the whole purpose of Next Gen Training is to give you some information, some nuggets that you can use and take and run with. Again, I don't like you to be talking.
Mm-hmm.
Take what Coach and I are giving and use it then to help you and fall and fail with it. Because it's nothing. It's like people are so afraid to fail these days.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just think, it's supposed to work just like that off the bat. Or that you're supposed to get these results overnight. And it doesn't work that way either. So take what we're trying to impart. And again, supermarket approach is always take what you will from what we're given. Try to apply some stuff. And if you have questions, then come back and ask us some questions. And we'll certainly try to, certainly entertain any questions. But again, the question is always going to sound a little bit better when, certainly when you've been applying yourself, certainly to the task. And this is why we also have the email here. nextgentraining101 at gmail.com. Any questions that you have on anything that we've talked about, or you out there, you've been trying to do stuff, you've been trying to implement some stuff, but you're always going to have questions. We're here for you. So GEN Training 101 at gmail.com. Drop your questions there. We'd love to entertain them on the show. But when I see men, especially in those settings, and it's kind of almost like you need a shoulder to cry on. Now, again, I believe in compassion. I believe in empathy. I think you need to sometimes snatch your brother up and give him a hug. And I'm not an dispassionate. I'm not unemotional like that. But understand what the goal is. It's to build your spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and physical muscle, so that you can go out there and start to apply and start to overcome and get results that way. But God's not going to take away your it's not going to take away the stuff you want. I hate to break it to you. I know some people in the prosperity gospel, God's not going to come and take a lot of this stuff away.
So, Brother Bennett, I'm not going to let you off the hook going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this because, right, everything you just relayed to me, right, and now that you have gone to a space where you're seeing the sort of the issues of what we've been discussing overall these past several months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how passionate you feel about that whole situation that you was just seeing and was a part of, coming from a mature mindset. And it's funny because, like you said, the guys that asked you to come didn't show up, right?
Yeah.
I'll say this to you, right? I have a lot of tools to just assist with that because it's another level to what we're doing. It's a whole nother level. From what we've been talking about, it's a whole nother level. But I think you're in a great position to sort of give that message that they need. You see what they lack. And I'll say that's also an opportunity to give them that need.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying, because you're probably, I don't know if you'll show back up, but, and again, they moving their feelings. So you,
here's the thing. The leaders, the people who were running it,
right,
were OGs like us.
Okay. But again, your perspective is a lot different than those OGs. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
But I didn't want to say I didn't want to panel like you. Oh, it's just all these young guys and like or a generational thing or whatever. I'm saying you got grown men. Some of these guys older than me and both of us.
But that's what I'm saying, Brother Bennett.
Yeah.
That's why if you want to get serious about it, then you can get serious about it, especially in the mindset that you are in when you're seeing it. I spent my whole entire adult life dealing with those type of emotions from men from age 8 to 88.
Yeah.
And I think that where you are now, it would be good for you to bring that to those guys and ask them up front, say, listen, do you want me to be honest with you, or do you want to just gripe about situations? We can do that for a day or two.
Yeah.
But then we got to get to a solution.
Yeah.
We got to do this. And I think that they would need to hear that from you because you're a new voice and outside of that voice.
Right.
So,
and like I said, to me, it's beyond just the solutions of it, because the solution is not sexy, or the solution is something that is not, you're not going to feel it right away.
That's why I say it's different levels.
You know what I'm saying? It's so really what you have to work on is your perception and your attitude and how you see a situation, more so than how do I get out of a situation. You know what I'm saying? But if you think that, oh, it's rough because I'm having kids, welcome to the world. Well, you think who had it easy raising kids? You think you got it any more difficult than somebody else did? Or like I said, go back to the OGs. It like the thing that was coming to my mind, coach, was like, y'all insulting the ancestors, right?
Yes, insulting them.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, you know, and like I said, I just really, I was like, hold my, I almost wanted to unmute myself and just go, kind of not go off. But again, like I said, I'm respectful. I'm in someone else's house, and I'm not. That's just not what I do. If you ask my opinion, I will give it to you respectfully. But I'm like, this. But if this is what you guys are saying, if this is what manning up is, but it's interesting because I've had this issue with a lot of men's. I've been to a lot of men's conferences and
Hmm.
Christian men's groups and stuff, and I see a lot of the same thing there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm just built a little bit different when it comes to that sort of thing. So, but I'll drop it. I'll leave that alone. So we can get into the topic tonight. Um, but I
Tell him come
definitely want
over
to.
here, brother. Ben. The next time you talk to him, man, tell him come over here, man, on Thursdays, man. And look, we can go back and do some stuff we did before when he come down to that whole
Mhm.
mindset, that growth mindset. We can break all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Tell
And
him come on over so we can give him that dialogue face to face. I like it like that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, let's get into this tonight. So again, drop your questions. As I said earlier, drop your questions to Next Gen Training. But tonight we're going to be dealing with again. So we started this series on insurance. Started off talking about life insurance. Then last week we talked about health insurance and certainly a lot of the instruments that you can use to use health insurance as an investment or even save some money, save some tax dollars when you use FSA and HSA accounts. But tonight we're going to be dealing with the topic of auto insurance and car buying tips tonight. Again, these are just opinions. Again, we're not in the insurance business. We're not in the car. Well, Coach, I think you said you've done a little work with car buying, whatever. So I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit later on. But again, we're not experts here, but we're just kind of giving you some basics when it comes to. And again, typically the age groups that we're on the show, we talk to everybody on this show. But typically for people 25 and under, that's kind of like where we've done a lot of work in that space, and so certainly for a lot of young people, getting your first car, and the responsibilities that kind of come with that. That's kind of where a lot of this conversation is going. I mean, but you're already older, got married, kids, all that house. You may know all this stuff already, so this may not necessarily everything be for you. But again, as we always say, take what you can use and then put it into a space that you can apply and get some benefit from. But certainly, obviously now, even when it says why insurance matters, talk about protection, covers bills, and there's peace of mind. The reality is you have to have it. Now, again, I've been watching Coach a lot of these sovereign citizen videos as of late, where you got these people talking about you don't need insurance, you don't need registration, or I'm not driving, I'm traveling, and things of that nature. And I've never seen anybody win in a court case. But the bottom line is most states require that driving is a privilege, and if you're going to drive, you must have, or the owner of the car must have, insurance in order for you to operate a motor vehicle. And so so that's something that's just mandatory for anyone. But certainly, that being said, yeah, protection against accidents, theft, natural disasters, covering medical bills, ensuring peace of mind, all those things are certainly important. But it's mandatory. So you can argue and make your case as to why you're not driving, you're traveling, and why you're not a citizen of the United States, and all these other legal arguments that you want to make. But if you're going to operate a vehicle, and if you get pulled over, and the law enforcement has the right to ask you for your license, proof of insurance, and registration, and if you don't give it, if you don't have valid plates, they're going to pull you over. You may be under arrest, or at the very least, you won't be able to continue to operate the vehicle. So those are things that you have to work out. So I just kind of want to get that off my chest, Coach, because it's just amazing to me how some people buy into certain dogmas or certain teachings, or they watch some YouTube videos on something and they get into this rabbit hole of beliefs and whatnot, and think that, oh, I don't have to have any of that stuff. Yeah, you do. So just make sure you take care of that. Next, again, as far as before you buy insurance, just certain things you need to know about yourself. Again, your driving habits. Again, are you looking for insurance? Are you a commuter? or you just need a car on the weekends. So again, how much driving are you going to be doing? What what type your coverage options, the claim support of the company that you're doing business with. How do they handle claims? You might want to get some reviews there. Definitely don't just go to one place. Definitely shop around. There's sites that'll compare several rates at the same time. And then when applicable, look for discounts. Now again, a lot of the discounts, which we'll cover a little bit later, a lot of those discounts tend to favor older, more established people. So for a young person, you're probably not going to get a lot of discounts on the outset, but certainly these are things that when you start the process, you just want to have these things in mind. Definitely shop around, looking for the best rate. Also know your driving habits. How many miles you'll be putting on every day, because these are questions they're going to ask when you shop for insurance. And again, just make sure you don't under you don't want to get under coverage nor overspend on coverage. And again, a lot of that depends on the type of vehicle that you own. But coach, before we kind of go in a deep dive, specifically any kind of high level points you want to make before we start to dive into this.
I would say, just in regards to know your driving habits, I don't think the insurance companies care about your driving habits. They just want to sell you some insurance. But I do think
Mm,
it's important to definitely shop around, and when you see what available discounts, like if your family member was a veteran, or if you was a veteran, or it could be a college graduate, college student. Uh, and if you under age of 25, then your insurance would probably be high anyway.
yeah, we're
So,
going to talk about that certainly later on. I'm
but
going to share some
yeah,
some stats on
okay.
that.
And just in finding out about the reputation, look at the reviews, and also the Better Business Bureau, and sometimes just make the call to those agencies, and talk to an agent online. And
Gotcha. All right, so let's take a look at some of the different types of insurance that are available, coverages that are available. So now, again, some of this depending on the vehicle that you own. Some of the stuff is mandatory. So again, most policies, you're gonna at minimum, you're gonna have to have liability. That's like the entry level. That's probably the cheapest part of it is the liability insurance, and that again it covers injuries that you cause to others. Ensure that you have enough coverage again to and the proper deductible again. So you want to set your ranges depending on the most people take 50,000, 100,000, whatever the minimums are. Again, when you're buying a policy, they'll calculate a lot of that, and they'll use the information that they give you in the questionnaire. They'll base the policy proposal that they give you on that, and also deductibles. Now, again, usually, again, the higher the deductible, also the cheaper it's going to be. But at the same time, you better make sure you have that available. Some people, 1,000, 1,500, very high deductibles that they'll pay. But again, if something goes down, do you have that 1,000, 1,500 deductible ready to cover your part of the bill? But obviously, if once you start going under 1,000, you get to 500 or less, then again, it's going to go up. So, Coach, what's typically been your higher upper limit in terms of in terms of your deductible when it comes to a policy? What do you typically roll with, or what do you normally suggest?
uh, I guess early on in driving, when I got my first car, I think it was typically a couple of $100. And I didn't get my first car until I was like, I guess when I was 23 years old.
Oh wow, yeah,
I didn't necessarily need a vehicle.
right.
Uh, but then when I got it, that's in what was it, 1991. When I bought my first car, I didn't, I bought it myself. So I was proud of that moment. A nice little Nissan Maxima. And just, those basic liabilities, if a car is paid for, you can get a car, pay liability on the car. If you pay out cash and have no payments going to a finance company or to the car dealership, you can get liability. But again, like you said, just when it comes down to those deductibles, if you don't have cash readily available, you could be in a whirlwind if you need your car for work, commuting, and there's no bus routes. But definitely have some collision coverage, maybe some personal injury, and I think now it's like sort of you want to have a lot of these coverages in your
Yeah,
package.
it's like the bodily injury or the liability, the personal damage, personal the PIP, the personal injury protection. Those again are kind of going to be baseline. Like it's going to be very difficult,
Yeah,
especially in certain states or whatever, to kind of get coverage without those things. It's almost like it's required by the state that you have at least a minimum level of that kind of coverage. And again, the personal injury, again, that covers you. Let's say if you are in an accident, you got to be out of work for some time or whatever. Again, a lot of that's going to be protected. Collision, again, covers the repair costs after you hit another vehicle or stationary object. So again, so that's what's paid out to the person who you did it to. Now, comprehensive. Now, that's typically something that is optional because again, um, the idea here is usually you can, like I said, you don't have to carry it, but the condition on that is if you bought leasing a car, the leasing company or the loan companies oftentimes require it that you have to have comprehensive. Once the car is paid off, if you kept the car or whatever, or if you just bought it outright or something, you typically don't need to get it. And again, it covers other things like fire, theft, flooding, or hitting an animal, or some other things not related to a collision with another vehicle. But again, a lot of the insurance companies, it's like you have to have it. All right, with a certainly with a new car, but basically any loan, even on a secondhand or used car, a lot of times they may require you to carry some sort of comprehensive at least for a time when you have it. And then the last thing to consider, again, uninsured motorists covers you if you're hit by a driver who does not have insurance or in a hit and run. So again, unfortunately, you still have, like I said, you may run into one of those sovereign citizens and they don't have any kind of insurance or registration or anything. So make sure you're protected there as well. So I would say that the four out of these five are pretty much things that I think you need to go with. Again, the comprehensive is optional, but again, if you have a loan, then the loan company is going to require that you also carry it as part of it. Or if you don't, then they may even make your interest rate higher on the loan that you take out if you don't have these things covered. So
brother
those are
Bennett,
yeah.
on your insurance, do you have all six of these on yours? Or did you
Not
go?
anymore. I took the collision off because again, my cars are paid for.
Yeah,
So
okay,
I don't have, like I
I
said,
got you.
when I had loans on them, it wasn't an option. I
I
mean,
got you.
yeah. So yeah, so that typically comes with the policy. Now I just wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper into the collision piece again for some people because this can be, since it's an optional thing. People, and again, say if you don't have a new car or at least you're not financing a car, you should know what it does and what it does not cover. So again, collision, again, is optional insurance car policy. It's not mandated by state law. But if you're again leasing or financing a vehicle, your lender may require. And again, I haven't seen a lender yet that did not require. So that's something to keep in mind. But just talk about some of the things that it covers and some of the things that it doesn't. So again, helps pay for again auto repair, replace your vehicle if it's damaged, regardless of who's at fault. All right. So again, so that's certainly something that it does. Some things it might cover, again, collision with another vehicle, collision with an object such as a tree, single car accidents involving rolling or falling over. So typically, those things are covered unless there's some real special circumstance where it wouldn't. But where you got to be careful of is what it doesn't cover. Damage to your car not related to driving. So again, if it's stolen, that's why you need that comprehensive that's going to cover that's going to cover that damage to another person's vehicle and medical bills, yours or another driver's. So again, so you got to be mindful of that. Got to be mindful of that as well if you decide to take that on. But Coach, what's your thoughts on that? Would you recommend, especially for a young person, getting a collision coverage as well, or would you, if you can, would you have them opt out of it?
I mean, I've always wanted to have the maximum coverage. Um, when I was younger, I definitely relied on my vehicle, and I wanted to be able to get it fixed as soon as possible. And this is where sometimes you have to really be, I guess, knowledgeable of how you spend your money, right? Because those differences can mean the differences between hundreds and thousands of dollars over the
Yeah.
course of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know, and it hails sometime. And my truck now, I'm like you, man. I'm blessed to have paid things off, but I still keep the whole package.
Hmm.
I still keep the whole package of insurance, just
Hmm.
so uh, I'm more so worried about my wife than me. Because if something happens, I want her to be whole as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So people really got to read their policies. It's important to read your policy. Read your policy, even if you got to take an extra 10, 15 minutes. And again, you can do the research before you reach out to an insurer. Uh, and I'll say this about Sparta said something about gap insurance. You don't necessarily have to go through the dealer for gap insurance. You can contact your lender or your bank. If you have a bank, their gap insurance is typically $10, $15 extra. So sometimes you may not need it through the dealer, but definitely check out the your bank. They usually will allow you to get gap insurance through that at a
Gotcha.
low rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, some things to consider. What's going to factor into your rate that you ultimately pay, which is at the end of the day is what you concerned about. So again, the things that are high impact, obviously your driving record, your age, where you're at. Are you in an urban area? Are you more rural, suburban area? Your credit scores actually matter. So again, young people, start working on your credit as soon as you can. If you do get a card at 18, or if your parents can get you a card, a little spending limit on it, $500 or whatever, and you just kind of operate within that. Start building your credit up, and then obviously the type of vehicle. If you got a hot rod with the flaming red, they even say that the color of your car makes a difference in
Yeah,
terms of the cost of your insurance. You want that flaming red sports car, certainly that can also have an impact on your insurance. The medium impact, again, your annual mileage. That's why I did say that earlier. I think your driving habits do matter. If I were to push back a little bit, it's like I said, if you're doing like a 30, 40, 50 miles commute every day versus if you just need a car mostly on weekends because you commute to the city, because here it's like, my wife, I mean, I don't even think she probably commutes to get to her. She works very close, and we have the train station that's nearby. So my daughters, they work in the city. So really for them, they only use the cars on the weekends, pretty much. If my wife uses it, it's less than 5 miles to get in the office and whatnot and back. So we're not putting a lot of miles on the car, but my commute is 60 miles a day. So that definitely makes a difference in the amount that you're paying. Usually the higher, but again, it's not as high as, like, say, your driving record, but it does seem to matter. Marital status, again, they tend to favor, again, stable people. If you own a home, continuous coverage, those things matter. Now, also gender matters. It kind of makes sense that it does. In fact, I got some stats. I'll talk about that a little bit. And then also safety features on the car. If your car has an anti-theft system or an alarm system in it, a lot of times they'll give you discounts and breaks. Now they talked about the window etching that they'll put on these. That used to be a big seller back in the day. And, the more I read about it, I was like, I don't know if it's worth it, but they used to put the etching on in case if the car is like split into, parts where they can kind of identify it. But I think that was just more a salesman scheme more so than anything to get another 500 or $1,000 out of you. But certainly things, definitely an anti-theft system, auto alarm system. And now, especially with these cars, now it used to be you would get a discount. We're old enough to remember when anti-lock brakes came out. You got a discount for that. But now every car has anti-lock brakes. Every car has airbags. Every car has, a lot of these systems kind of built in now. So those are things that really aren't, probably factored in as much as back in the day, but it certainly makes a difference. And in terms of low impact, again, education or occupation, uh, um, telematics programs. I guess that's more so like satellite hookups or whatnot. Discount affiliations, like, so again, if you're AARP or if you're military, now USAA. Now I may need to look into that because my insurance just went up, and like you were saying, Coach, earlier, because my dad was a vet, I may want to look into and at least get some quotes from USAA and see if in fact it is what they say it is. And I don't know if just you being a veteran yourself, do you go through USAA or is there another
I
entity
use
that's
USAA and Navy Federal. I use
Navy
both.
Pet? That's another one too. Yeah.
I use both, but
Right.
USAA has a default. Um, and I think just with your dad, real quick, you have his DD 214.
Yes.
Then yeah, you can go ahead and try to get as much as you can for to benefit you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And payment method, you do get a discount if you do like an auto pay. Usually that saves you like 5%. Uh, um, they give I'm AARP eligible, okay, but I haven't, I haven't taken advantage of it yet. Like I said, Coach,
Like me,
I'm not ready to concede yet,
I'm
but
not.
I may need to, especially after this last year. I may need to consider. Yeah, using all those, but I definitely want to look into the USAA and see what I could apply there. Usually, I'm kind of a loyal type of guy, so like the company I've been in for years, and they pretty much give me some decent rates. Um, and in fact, we went back to them. I think about a year and a half ago. I was with Geico for some time, and they went crazy and jacked up my rates, so I switched back over to the old, and they've been good. But yeah, but definitely I'm gonna look at USAA and see what they have to offer. But I wanted to go back and look at the gender piece because this is something that I didn't consider, going into this, but it does appear to be a factor. So these just some stats, and this is coming from CNBC. These where these stats can be found. So again, why men and women pay differently for car insurance. So you had a record of this. They tracked this. 1975 to 2022, the number of male deaths from auto crashes was more than twice the number of female crashes, according to the Institute for Highway Safety. Another highlight, again, and men are more likely to engage in risky driving practices, including speeding, not using seat belts, and driving under the influence. Although I have seen some slush women out there, but yeah, guys may want to drag race more than women. I don't know too many women who say, "Hey, let's drag down this course or whatever." That seems to be more like a male-oriented activity. And then the last one here, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, alcohol implied drivers were involved in 1/3 of all fatal crashes in 2022, and men outnumbered women in those fatalities 3-1. So yeah, so men, we can be, especially in younger years, we can be a bit more reckless, and therefore in that particular situation, we're going to be more likely to pay higher rates than the women do when it comes to insurance. No matter how safe a driver you are, they do look at those kind of metrics when it comes to calculating your rate when they give you the questionnaire and when you go through those. But Coach, any comments on these stats here?
No, I'm not surprised. Because men take more risk in a car than women. Men, we thrill seekers and going fast and jumping and things like that. I can see how this can be true because you can see it in the professional auto racing. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? You can see men, we buy fast cars. We want to go fast. You see
mm,
with, athletes sometimes when they get these overpriced cars and they zooming down. We just saw with Chicago Richardson with her BMW going
yeah,
100 and some
yeah.
miles an hour. So, you know, again, I think people should stick to the vehicle that they can handle. And yeah, I can see. I think with women becoming more, I guess, in tune with these fast type of cars, women are buying the Hellcats and these fancy, speedy cars, and
Mhm.
you know, but I'm not surprised by it though at all. I'm not surprised by it though. But I did
Mhm.
want to go back to the previous slide because this is an
Sure.
interesting statistic and an interesting fact about insurance though. And I'm just gonna go from low impact to high impact. Even with those payment methods, sometimes you pay it up front, you get 20-30% more
Mhm.
discount if you
Yeah.
can pay the entire. I used to love. I used to always renew my insurance around tax time. So at
Mhm.
that time, so I had the money, I can just pay it, get it out, and
Right.
get it away. Because I usually carried State Farm. They
Yeah.
was always pretty good. I filed a few claims. They didn't give me no problems. I called them. They have me a check the next day as soon as possible. So I've always appreciated that. Um, the home ownership, this is where you get into that sort of bundle package, and you'll
Yeah.
see.
Umbrella, homeowner, you
Yeah,
bundle
you'll
everything
see
together.
with
Yeah.
USAA, they do have some decent packages, but I would check with USAA and Navy Federal if I was you, just because you have that option.
Gotcha.
And yeah, location. I found out about the location in Chicago because when I was before I went there, my insurance was pretty cool. It was like, I can pay this little $75, $68 a month. I'm good. I got to Chicago. They was like, it'd be 130. Huh? What you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, where you live at? They look at your address. Oh yeah, it's higher in these neighborhoods. I'm like, but I don't see nothing but the lakefront. Yeah, but it's all the neighborhood. So it was a heck of a shock for me. It doubled my insurance,
Yeah.
and but I'm glad I always had, and I've always had the full coverage. Just make sure because I needed my vehicle when I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. For sure. Um, so I want to just continue on this here just to show you. Now I got this embedded in here. Hopefully I can get it to work. But it is a basically you can went to the site. You can actually look at what the rates are, the differences between what men pay and what women pay based on the state that you're in. So let's say if you were in, see if I can get this to work. 'Cause I got it. I got this spreadsheet embedded in here. I don't see if I can get this thing to fire off,
So not bad.
or, or will it? Because I was basically like, all right, I'm just gonna read it out. So like, if you're in Indiana,
Yes, yes. I can't see the
right?
whole screen, but I can see, part of it.
Yeah, I'm
So,
trying to get it to work in the interactive. It's
no, you
a
good.
little bit
You
different.
good. But
But
Indiana, what's
yeah,
Indiana's rates?
Indiana, women pay men pay 828
Mm,
annual on average, whereas women pay 804.
okay.
If you go to New Jersey, where I'm at, um, men pay 1169, where women pay 1165. So it's not as bad. It's probably not as bad here. Probably where the differences really kind of get bigger. Missouri, men pay 1612 versus women 1542. That's 4.53% difference. Idaho, men pay $30 more. So it's not a huge disparity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think where the bigger disparities tend to be is with is typically with your age. And I could just kind of go to this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another chart that talks about the cheapest places for. So again, typically, the more densely populated the state, just because you can have more cars on the road, more highways, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, the more the insurance is. So you talked about Coach when you were in Indiana. You're kind of on the low end. You're paying pretty cheap car insurance out there, but as soon as you go over into Illinois and even more so, even into Chicago, you see your rates go up a bit based on where you're at. But you're still much better off than living in New Jersey, where I'm at, or New York or California. Like I said, some of these states that just have really high insurance rates. Just to kind of give a quick capsule. So Michigan, most expensive rates: Michigan, Louisiana, Nevada, Kentucky, DC, Florida. So these are in Cali. So these are the highest ones in the country. I'm almost surprised that New Jersey isn't higher, because again, we're the most densely populated state, but it's still relatively high. But you can see the rates here are a lot more than certainly what you would pay in Indiana. And then on the cheaper end of the scale, you see here the cost is a lot cheaper in some of these other locations. So that's definitely going to matter in terms of how much ultimately you're going to pay overall. But even Illinois as a whole, it's still relatively on the low side in terms of what you'd be paying, certainly on a monthly basis. Certainly compared to,
Mhm.
again, tri-state area where I'm at and whatnot. So that's always been a big thing here is the amount that you pay.
But
Um,
Bennett,
yeah.
real quick, go back to the first 25 with Kentucky being number four, right?
Hmm.
And like I said, I'm there. I moved. I came back down this way so I can be closer. But that was one of the main reasons I didn't actually move back into the state because
Gotcha.
just paying the insurance would have doubled what I'm paying now, and
Hmm.
the other insurances that I could receive from my home and things like that, it would almost double and triple. So
Yeah.
I was just like, and then Kentucky is one of the poorest state by area code, 502
Right.
downtown Louisville. It's
Right.
one of the poorest cities in America.
Hmm.
And they have some of the highest rates for insurance, home insurance, car insurance, all of that's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Doesn't always correlate that the more affluent or more populous the state is, that the insurance is going to be higher. Yeah, definitely. Kentucky seems to be even Louisiana. I never thought was that
Yeah.
populous where you would have it that high. Um, but just moving here, so again, like I said, the biggest gap in insurance is going to be your age. So you see here, like for guys over 60, you start getting those senior discounts and whatnot start to kick in at that time. So again, that takes a few dollars off. On average, $136 a month. But if you have an accident, then it shoots up. And certainly I've seen the effects of that. Not my fault, but certainly seen how that's why people. Now I know some companies they give accident forgiveness. Like if you had a clean driver record, you get into an accident, you don't necessarily it doesn't automatically trigger a rate increase. But certainly those companies, even those guys, the premiums that you pay month to month are still going to be higher overall. They say, yeah, we give you that benefit, but we're also charge you a lot more per month for their insurance policy also. So they're not giving you anything, and what they're really giving you is more like a marketing pitch, more so than something that's going to save you real dollars at the end of the day. But you can see here, drivers under 25 versus say a driver, an average driver, or certainly an older driver. You're talking close to three times as much that you're going to pay in insurance versus someone who's over 25 years of age. And so this, to me, this also raises a question in terms of what should you do if you are under 25 and you're still living at home. You may want certainly your own car, your own vehicle that may come up, but is it wiser that you stay on, if your parents allow, they can add your car or add as a driver on their policy, or you buy your own? It certainly makes sense if you move out. You're obviously going to have to get your own at that point. But certainly just the cost of adding on, and again, they factor that in when they add it up. I mean, clearly, I got all three of my daughters on my plan, and they take they take that in. So, but I still, I kind of give them that cover because of that. But how was it for you and your son, Coach? When did your son get his own car insurance? When he got a car, or was he on your plan for a minute, or how'd that work?
I'll put them on my plan. Of course, I'll put him on my plan because I wanted
Yeah.
to know if I could, trust him. And I had a car, that he could learn and grow in, you know.
Mm.
And yeah, I just put him on my plan. I wouldn't even go put that financial burden on him, but he had other financial responsibilities. And
Yeah,
the
and when
car,
you think about it, I mean, this is as much as a car payment, right?
yes,
If you went and,
yeah,
I mean, so
yeah,
so again, and I know my daughters, like I know they were all talking about, oh yeah, I can't wait to get my own car or whatever. It's like you're saving up for the car. Are you saving up for insurance? Now again, you can stay on mine and you can give me a little something. Like now, my daughter's coach. Now they're starting to uh uh
chip
uh
in a little bit.
yeah, just a little bit. So we're
Yeah,
gonna collect. We said we're gonna give you 6 months. All my daughters made a deal. You get 6 months. to work and because getting out of school or
Yeah,
settle in your job and
sure.
all that kind of stuff. We understand that, but once you get settled in, I don't even call it rent. I just call it just a little something for the benefit of the good of the welfare.
Paying
What I
your
mean?
way. It's paying your way.
You
Into
just
the
get a
pot.
little something in because I want them to save up. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
anticipating that they're going to move out at some point, and I don't want them necessarily paying exorbitant rent when they could be saving their money until they're really financially capable of that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
but at the same time, yeah, you guys can contribute something to the household. So all that kind of goes into it, but they don't understand. They say, yeah, if you buy a car and you want insurance on the same time, you can be talking. It's like double. I mean, the cost of your insurance at your age, plus the cost the whatever you finance in the car for, that's what you're looking at. So, and this is what really, a lot of times for a lot of young people, it's harder for them to kind of get started is because they have all these costs because of their age that they have to pay up front. And so anything that certainly I can do to help them you know manage some of that, but at the same time teaching them some financial responsibilities, then I think it works out for everybody. And I think that it's good to have that relationship with your kids where you can trust them that they're going to pay on time every pay period. They just transfer it over, and it's not something I have to worry about. But if you're not on good terms with your kids or whatever, if they're unreliable or whatever, I'm not also a fan of taking on debts on your kids unless they prove that they can handle or that they're responsible with what if you're gonna co-sign on a car for somebody. uh I wouldn't do I don't think not every parent should do that based on is your kid responsible or not, because otherwise you're going to be on the hook for whatever you co-sign on. So those are just things that you need to be mindful of. Just another stat here in terms of just again average cost. You see how it is when you're 16 and how it skyrockets in terms of the amount that you pay. Starting at 16, but you pay a lot less once you hit 25. Now, what I am finding interesting, Coach, because you said yourself, which you're a little surprised at, you didn't get your first car until 23. Now, again, back in the day, as soon as you got 16, I'm 16 to 18, or you're in high school, guys getting cars and driving their cars around. So it seems like with this younger generation, I think a lot of them are less likely to want to get a car that early, you
Hmm.
know. And so, it'd be hard to imagine that for a 16-year-old, especially just given the cost of what you'd be paying, the amount that you're be shelling out if you get car insurance at 16. And again, you see the disparity between males and females. So it's like $800 that you be the difference on average between male and female. So, but I think a lot of people are waiting. They may drive the parents' car for a minute or something like that. And again, you got to add them at minimum. You have to add them as a driver to your policy. But, as far as them going out and get their own at 21, 22 years old, getting their own car insurance, usually in those situations to typically move it out the house or some situation where they had to get it on their own. And so those are things just to be mindful of. Any thoughts on this, Coach, before we move on?
Yep, I just think about my son, right? And I appreciate what he's doing, right? Because he understood when he wanted to get his car like me. And I didn't mention I paid for my first car cash.
Hmm.
I paid cash. I paid like $4,400, so I was set, right?
What was it, if you don't mind me
It
asking?
was a Nissan Maxima with a
Okay.
sunroof. It was a
Okay. I
sunroof,
had, yep.
a
My
gray
first two
one.
cars were Maximas also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I love that
I
car.
had a
I really,
94, and then I had a 94, and then I got a 2001.
oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
Brother Bennett, I put over 200,000 miles on that car until I traded it in.
Yep.
Because I did,
What'd you get for it though? What'd they give you for it though?
man, I bought me a Blazer. I traded in for a
I'm saying, but
95 Blazer.
what was the trade? 200,000 miles. What was the trade-in value though?
They gave me like 1,500.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I only paid
because I'm
for.
I'm like that too. Like I'll drive my cars into the ground, but they're not gonna get like what I do these days. I just donate it, like Cars for Kids or whatever. I get
Yeah,
that charity statement,
yeah,
and I just take that off my taxes because it's
yeah,
not. I'm like I've had it for so long. It's like I'm not gonna if they're gonna give me less than 500 for it. It's like what, I'm just gonna
yeah,
call them up and Cars for Kids. They come and pick up the car and take it and then they give me a 1099 or whatever at the end. I just follow up with my taxes.
That's because you big bank over it right now, brother Benny. You good. You just sitting over on house money right now. And I get it. But my son, he's 23.
Mm.
When he was graduating high school, I was like, listen, man, it was just me being a dad to him. I said, listen, if I was you, I would go to the military. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to go to college, right? I said, if you go to college, you're going to have to figure it out because I'm not going to be just taking on your debt. He went to college for the first semester. Okay, you got to figure it out. He started driving 18-wheelers in July. We talked on my birthday. Well, we talked in the thing, but the last time we talked, he's already saved over $11,000.
Nice.
And I've been talking to him about when he goes to pick out a car, think about what we are talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll definitely reiterate to him the information that we're covering today about making the right choice, to understanding his costs. And you made a great point about young people. The fact that when we were outside days, we were moving around and you needed somebody to have a car.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somebody.
At our age, someone 18 would have a car. It's like, they would come to high school and you were the man if you had a car,
Yes.
And some of these guys, they came from kind of wealthy families. And a guy had a Mustang, convertible, put the top down on it. So he was the man but again, his family had a little money. And he was a little spoiled brat or whatever. But yeah, that was the thing. If you had a car, if you drove to high school, you would have been. I don't know of anybody who does that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I had friends that were in the projects. Their parents had bought them a car. One of my best friends. And we had two cars. And I had a moped. So I was more with my moped.
My brother had one of those, yeah.
But with my son, the fact, we talking about a car and this will be great information to sort of reiterate to him about making the right choice when it comes to insurance. Because I'm sure he wants a nice car, but I told him think about cost, and he's not going to be driving it often because he is a truck driver. I said, get something, close to brand new, something, low miles, and we'll talk about how to choose the car, how to negotiate the price. We'll definitely get down to that. Yeah. And we'll see, man. But his insurance is going to be high.
Yeah. But how old is he?
He's 23 as of January 10th.
I mean, if he can wait another couple years, I mean,
well, it'll change for him for about a few dollars. $20 difference. Yeah.
He's close to less than 2 years, 18 months, whatever. I don't know when he turns 24, but I mean, that might be worth waiting it out until he's in a better better position. So.
26.
Yeah. But I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit and get into the buying. So again, in terms of insurance, again, we talked about some of the basic coverages you need to consider. You definitely want to shop around. Get quotes from different places. Be mindful of your credit scores. Be mindful of your driving record. Be mindful of and also, again, don't overpay. Don't take on too much more than you can handle. Be mindful of the type of car that you have. Also, your situation. Again, if you're primarily a commuter, don't overpay for car insurance. Get what you need more so than overpaying. So again, just work with an agent on that, but be very firm on what you need and what you want. Look, I just need to cover this, and I'm not looking to pay to overextend. But like I said, it is mandatory. Sorry, like I said, to the sovereign citizens, you got to get insurance, and you can call, and it may be a racket for all. I'm not. Yeah, it could be, especially in New Jersey or whatever. Yeah, it could be a racket here. But again, driving is a privilege. And so make sure that either, and if you do have a good relationship with your parents, they put you on their policy, pay them. They shouldn't cover so many, things for you at some point, especially once you get over 21 and you're working or whatever. Now, if you're still in school or whatever, okay, fine, they may support you in that regard. But if you get into career and you start working, it's okay to give again to contribute to the household. If you don't like the term rent or whatever, if you don't like that term, call it something else. But again, those few dollars, I mean, at least it pays a utility bill or some other bill. It helps, or it helps with the payments that they're making on the policies, because you know their policies are going to go up when they add you to it. And then because they added you to it, again, practice safety when you are driving, because again, that's going to jack it up for everybody when you do that. So again, be mindful of others as you're out there on the roads. So just don't think about taking joyrides and doing putting yourself in a lot of stupid activity, and then that's just going to cost the family overall, because then everybody's have to pay more, or you're putting more burden on your parents to have to cover things for you because of decisions that you made. So just so keep those things in mind. But I want to switch to I guess the buying aspect a little bit. And again, I'm going to let Coach sort of drive, because I'm sure you have some tips. But here's the only thing when it comes to car buying that I believe in. And unless you got money, like money to burn, I'm not a big fan of buying a new car ever. Like, even if I got money like that, it has to be something where I got a lot of expendable money to play with. But generally, again, reasons to buy a used car. Again, you're saving money. Upgrading equipment for less, driving tension free, because again, a new car, all that extra, you don't want to scratch on it. More flexibility when it comes to insurance, because the thing what happens is so again, should you get comprehensive or not? A lot of that's going to depend on, again, how much you're paying, on the loan agency. But again, a lot of times if you don't have a new car, you don't have to take on like the maximum coverages. And to me, the biggest thing is the depreciation on a car. I mean, it's the cost of that, the depreciation that takes place on the car happens very early in the life of the car. So if you look here again, how much do new cars depreciate in value? So again, if you just use this model, this is from a 2017 purchase, $34,968. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it drops by $3,000. Just right off the lot. So it happens very quickly. By year one, the value of the car, it's on average 25% drop in price. By year 3, 18,000, and in 5 years or more, nearly 13,000. So again, it's not a car is not an asset. No matter how nice it is, I don't care if you get the Corvette, I don't care if you get the Tesla, the whatever the car is, it's going to depreciate in value. And so these are things that you have to be mindful of when you do that. But the biggest is going to be in that first couple of years. So I don't mind getting a car 2, maybe 3 years at the most old. Maybe it just came off a lease. Because if it came off a lease, generally the miles are going to be low on it, because usually most lease terms are 12,000 miles a year. And a lot of people don't want to go over that. So again, getting a low mileage car has some benefits to it in terms of you don't have to eat that depreciation in the first year of ownership. Yes, I understand and I appreciate. I'm not saying I never bought a new car, but I'm saying, and I understand that new car smell, you will never get it back. I haven't found the fragrance coat yet that replaces the smell of a new car. It is one of my favorite smells in the world. But at the same time, the cost overall, I don't think it's worth it in most cases. Like I said, unless you got money like that. I'm not pocket watching anybody. If you got money to spend, you can cover it and be fine and all that, then do you. But especially for a young person starting out, don't necessarily be caught up in the sway of trying to get a new vehicle. It is a depreciation disaster. Here's another one, just the cost of a car. And you also got to mind you, if you do take out a loan. So again, let's just say you take out a loan after 2 years, the depreciation of your car, but this is how much you took out in loan. Your loan could be more than what the car is worth after the first couple years. So you really have to be mindful of that. Now again, Peter, now he makes a point that again he will only buy a new car because you don't know what you're buying. That is true. But again, for a lot of these cars, they go through inspections. You can get it. You can get it looked at either by them or you can have it looked at um, by an independent shop, a shop that you trust to tell you what's going on with it. There's also usually a lot of those cars are still under warranty, or you can buy an extended warranty on the car if that gives you a better sense of security. But generally speaking, and new cars have problems also. New cars get recall and all kinds of things as well. It's just never been my policy. I would never recommend to even a working person. Like I said, if you're like 25 to 30, I would suggest that it is more financially responsible to get a car that may be 1 year, 2 year, maybe at the most 3 years old, still under warranty, still, or you can extend it out. But the only time I would have said to buy a new car. Now I don't know if you remember this, Coach. That was a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I think the economy, when we had the crash in 2008, and they were allowing you to buy a new car with 0% financing. That's pretty hard to turn down. So I'm saying if they're gonna give that for a new car versus a 7-8% or 9% for a used car, then in that situation you may want to go with a new car. But outside of that, that's just always been my my preference or my suggestion to people. But again, if you got money like that, hey, you got the new signing bonus, buy what you want. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not hating because you bought the car, but for most of us, that first car, whatever, that's like the first big investment that we buy in, and it's not even an investment. Car is not an investment. But again, if it helps you get to your job or your career or point A to point B and wherever you got to be, then you need one. It can certainly be essential, but it is not an investment. And so why pour all that money into something, just pouring money down the drain on something where, again, as soon as you drop it off the lot, it loses 10% in value. So that's just my little rant or comments on used car buying. I think that works for most people. But I'll let you kind of chime in, Coach, on how you approach car buying, what you're going to tell your son, and just your general approach, since you said you had some experience with car buying. What are some tips that you would suggest to people, especially young people, when it comes to purchasing automobiles? I'll turn it over to you, and we can close out the show.
Just go back to the last slide. I saw that, me and the way I've been operating since I've been married, I've only bought new cars, right? And I'm a research guy. I'm not an impulse buyer.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of guy. I will visit 3 or 4 places, before I decide to do something. And just as of, like I said, once you drive off the lot, it's definitely going to depreciate within a year. And here's what a lot of people don't know about a car. When you look at the window sticker, that is a suggested price, right? You can always negotiate the price depending on your credit. If you have a 700 or better, and they're more than likely going to give you a better rate, interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
However, what's important is the timing of the month plays a big deal. You see a lot of car dealers having these promotions on TV now. It seems like every month they got a new one, right?
Yeah, they got clear
Uh,
inventory. Yeah.
and they also promote that according to financial quarters. When they look at the numbers as far as people making that, they sort of align those promotions with that. And again, when you want to purchase a car today, one of the first things you want to do is research at least 7 to 10 dealerships that may have the car that you have,
Mhm.
regardless of if it's 100 miles away, 50 miles away, whatever. And this is for a new car. If you're looking for a new car, you research those dealerships, you contact them and ask them before you even start talking the bells and whistles. I mean, give them the description of your car before you even talking about how much it costs. You want to get the out the door price. How much is it going to cost total cost for me to get this car off your lot today? They'll and tell them this is what you want. Hang up the phone. They'll call you back 10, 15 minutes later. Say, hey, my guy said that we can do this. And you may have a number in your head, and you may have a lot lower number than they have. And he may come back and say, hey, this is the best we can do. Da, da, da. Okay, cool. Well, tell him I'm not quite there. You can negotiate that. And he'll go back and call you back. And if it's towards the end of the month, are they trying to meet a quota? Those finance managers will be willing to make a great deal. Now, what you can do is find out what the average would be. Go to the Kelly Blue Book
Mhm.
and see what those average prices are going for.
Mhm.
And depending on your credit score and your budget, you can negotiate a price towards the lower end of the cost. So if a car is $40,000 suggested retail, you could probably get it between $35,000 and $37,000 if you've done your research.
Mhm.
Because if you go to a few dealers that are in the same competition, you can always let them know I am shopping around. Dealers like to know, what do your payments want to be? You don't know that yet. You want to know what the best cost is, because that's where they get you. As far as the interest, they'll say, oh, you can pay this $500 a month, something well within your budget, but your payments are going to be stretched out over the course of 7, 8 years. And you end up paying another third of what you bought the car for, almost half of what you bought the car for. So you have to get the out the door price. You have to get that.
Mhm.
And then when you're going to add on all of these packages and the gap insurance, the other warranties, these warranties like the stitch etching and all of this
Yeah, yeah, yes.
coating, you don't
So
want none of that. Tell them you don't
correct.
want none
Yep.
of that on the contract, because that can add up to hundreds, not even thousands of dollars over the course of the loan.
Yep.
But the out the door price is a big thing. And um, what was I say? The gap insurance, like I mentioned earlier, you can contact your financial institution. If you go through a bank, more than likely they have a low rate, $8, $10 a month gap insurance, and you can go negotiate the deal. But also any warranties that you do get on a vehicle, the purchase price, any say accessories, say if you want mud flaps and grill and all of those things that they sell within the car dealership to enhance the appearance of your vehicle, all of those prices can be negotiated. They mark them up 30 to 40% over price. So you can make a decision. If you're handy, go to Amazon, purchase the mud flaps for a cheaper rate, or you can go through the dealer, which has a 30 to 40% markup. So
Yes.
$50 mud flaps on Amazon might be $100 on from the dealer. You can also negotiate some of your oil changes. Say if you want to have 3 to 5 oil changes, you can negotiate that with the price of the car, but it has to
Yeah.
be in that negotiation. And
Yeah, these days I'm seeing that they're giving like free oil changes for like a year. That seems to be the
yeah,
standard now that they're giving you,
I,
or
I would
2 years even.
Yeah, I would recommend at least 36 months
Yeah.
because you can, and make sure it's unlimited because they may give you one or two. But if you're driving 15, 20,000 miles a year, that one or two won't really do you any good. But
Right.
all of those pricings that come on that out the door list, it's like an invoice. It's going to tell you how much the vehicle is going to cost. Some of those fees are just ridiculous fees. You can let them know you won't pay it. But remember, when you start adding on all of these other accessories and
Mhm.
amenities, that's going to increase the price of your car. And that extra $50 may sound good today, but you're talking about over the course of 72 months, $50 a month.
Mhm.
So be mindful of that. And I'll say this and I'll shut up in regards to myself. I'm looking to get a final vehicle, and my final vehicle will be a 2500. It's going to be a 2500 series.
Mhm.
I've looked at all of them, I've test driven all of them. As far as the look, I like the Chevy and the GMC, but it's something that gives the Chevy a slight edge. The Ford 2500 is okay. The Ram, I have a Ram 1500. I can't find the Ram boxes. That's difficult. They don't have the boxes on the side. I like that because I don't have to put a lot of stuff in. So when I
Mhm.
purchased this vehicle, uh, I know what the average costs are, and I know how to negotiate exactly what I need to get within my price range. And I'll say this: say you get a car and it's 72, 84 months, right? You have to make sure that within that contract that maybe 2 years, 36 months in, you can pay it off if possible and avoid the extra interest rates. So your credit score is going to play a big part on your interest rates, on your insurance rates, um, and the purchase of the car, but you can negotiate that before you show up at the dealership. Don't go to the dealership talk about this is what you want. You find the vehicle online, find 5 to 10 uh, dealerships that sell the same car. Let them tell them, give you the out the door price, the best out the door price. They always negotiate the first offer, and contact your insurances because insurances on that vehicle I thought would be high, but I got a quote for like $92 a month,
Mm.
which is not bad.
No,
and again, that's full
I'm
comprehensive
still shaking.
coverage. So
Like I said, you're in Indiana, so I mean, I'm never going back to the '80s. I don't think I've ever paid that low
no,
for
okay. I guess
insurance.
it's where you from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm hearing these. When you give me this quote, this number, I was like my jaw's dropping because it's like that's just not. That just doesn't seem normal. It's like I need to move to Indiana because because like I said, just paying these prices in like I said the tri-state area
And
is
brother, really,
yeah.
me and my wife has a Mercedes. I have a BMW. She got hers in
Mhm.
22. I got mine in 23.
Mhm.
And I got and we buy new cars because I got my 18. I got a 2018 Volvo. I just went over 75,000 miles on it,
Mhm.
and that's just been the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So you're driving and you're driving record. So make sure you're not out here driving
Oh yeah.
recklessly, getting tickets and
Yeah.
avoiding your insurance premiums to go up. But yeah, buying a car today, it's a lot more advantage for the buyer. But you just have to do your homework. And sometimes, if they're not willing to negotiate, walk away. Get up and walk away. They'll call you back before you get home, making you a better deal.
Yeah. Peter just talked about that when he bought his car. But I gotta tell you though, I mean, just back to I know. So you're an advocate of new cars. No, Peter's he's an advocate. Right now, the average cost of cars is $50,000. It broke, I think, last year, with the average cost for cars over 50,000. Even with a decent rate, you're still talking about for 7% finance. Like I said, back in the day when they had that 0%, again, that was that was almost a no-brainer to go in there and take advantage of that. I don't know if that's ever coming back. But again, even with a 7% interest rate, that's $900 a month. So I just think certainly for a young person to kick out that kind of money, and if you've got your first job, if you're kicking in $50,000 a year, whatever that first job or whatever it is, that's just a huge chunk of your change going out to that endeavor. And so again, another reason why I would say, to consider a 2-year-old or maybe something recent off lease, something under 40,000 miles, about 35,000 miles, something in that. The last vehicle I bought, that's what we got. And the way I also look at it too is like they talk about the bells and whistles. Again, I think a lot of these cars are coming more stacked. It's like, you used to be able to get like a bare bones car, like the with nothing in it, right? But now it's like everything, like I think the cars now, the way they're coming out, even the baseline car is still going to have a lot more options in it that come with the vehicle than a vehicle 5 years prior or 10 years prior. So even when we talk about these options that you have to buy, do you really need them? Especially for your first car. You know what I mean? Yeah, as long as you don't have to roll up your window manually like we used to have to do back in the day. Yeah, it should have power windows. They don't have cassette decks or DVD players anymore. Everything's digital. You just, Bluetooth is standard in every car. Do you have to have all those options? Sports package, luxury package, all those things for your first car. Learn how to be a better driver. Again, save the, one day will I upgrade and get like a luxury car? I don't know. Honestly, like I said, I'm not a car guy like that. We test drove a Tesla a couple years ago, and I was thinking, okay, I could see going electric for the standpoint of, especially when gas was $4 and $5 a gallon. I said, okay, this might be an option, but I thought the Tesla, just driving it, and it felt luxury to me. Now, a lot of people won't call a Tesla a luxury vehicle, but I'm not a guy who has to have, I don't need a spaceship. You know what I'm saying? So again, I don't think I will ever have, or it would be hard for me to pay 6 figures for a car, even if I had it. That's kind of where I'm at now in my life. Yeah, if you want to gift me a Mercedes or whatever, the vehicle is, I'll take it. But it would take a lot for me to invest 6 figures on a product that depreciates in value. And so that's like I said, that's a tough sell. Now, I may consider maybe a classic car. Like I saw you had this one guy, he had a Vet. I think it was like a 77 Stingray that he was selling for like $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000. And I don't even know what state it was in. Like I could see buying like a class, I am a bit of a fan like the old muscle cars. You know what I'm saying? So like a 77 Vet or something like, one of those type of cars. Yeah, I'm okay. I might
60s. You want one of them 60s models.
No, not the 60s. I'm a 70s muscle. That was kind of like the time for me. So 70s, 80s, I can rock with, the muscle car. Remember that 78 Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit? Firebird Trans Am had the thing. Something like that. Okay, I can manage something like that, but just $100K by the time you pay the taxes and all the other costs that add up to the cost of the car, paying literally $100,000. Trucks now. You talking about getting a truck, 2,500 loaded? You might be pushing 6 figures when it's all said and done. I'm just saying, just the price tag. I know you're gonna work your magic to get it down to a reasonable amount, but I'm just saying a 2026 Tahoe right or whatever. Yeah.
I'm getting a Chevy Silverado.
Okay.
They are in their 60s, right? And I'm just looking for a little mid range. I like the multiplex gate and the sliding back window. I don't really care about leather because they all got the power windows, heated seats. They all got to have that. The navigation comes standard. So the power window and the multi-functional gate, the kind that sort of flip 3 or 4 ways, I want that because I don't have I guess, the energy to be trying to step up an extra step to get into the bed of the truck.
Right.
And the one I'm looking at, 64 out the door, I'll be good.
Okay.
64 out the door.
But I'm just, but it can, if you want, you can get it to 6 if you wanted to.
If I'm going to Denali's,
Yeah.
the Denali is about 95, 96, something like that. I'll say this about the electric car, though, Brother Billy. I wouldn't recommend nobody get an electric car because the little plug that they give you, that little 12 volt, that ain't gonna do nothing to charge your car. You either gonna have to get converted into that system that comes with sort of the dealership and what you see around the community. However,
or you got to get the system put in your house. That's that
but
box is like $3,000.
But that's what I'm saying. However, you paying that $3,000, and your electric bill at that point will triple. Your electric bill will become at least $300 or $400 a month. I know people have done exactly that, and they was like, "I'm stuck in this car," and the electric bill is maybe in the $300 or $400 a month.
Yeah.
So
I get that, and like I said, the whole point, that was the last car I test drove. You know what I'm saying? And just the experience of driving an electric car. It's like there's no engine, right?
Yeah, it's quiet.
You go from 0 to 60 in 3.3. It's a different driving experience. And you got this big 20-inch digital display that shows you everything. It's got the, I'm just saying, it was just an experience. Now I said, okay, I could possibly, plus in New Jersey, they were giving, I think they gave you $7,500 credit for buying electric. I mean, and now I think this government, I think they canceled the solar credit or whatever energy credits because we got a different administration now. But again, it was at least it was a conversation. But I still don't know if I would come off of my secondhand buying, simply because, again, I just think that the value across the board. Now, again, you may run into one where, again, it's a price that you cannot refuse. But generally speaking, and also, again, for a young person, you get in your first car. Don't saddle yourself with an $800-900, and that's just for the car. We haven't even talked about the insurance yet. So you could possibly be talking about half your paycheck going towards a car. Those things I'm saying, be a little bit careful with. I know you want to be independent and those sort of things, but again, your money could be used in better places. And a car is not one of them. So I would just give that as a sort of a closing thought, that be very mindful. But even for older people, if you got a family, yeah, I get it. You want a safe car. But again, all these cars are like generally safe. I mean, they all share the same energy absorbing car bodies and things that nature. I get it. You want a safe car. Your wife, she's got the kids. You want her to be in a car that's not going to break down on the road. I get all of that. But, kids going to need braces, and you need, your kid needs, you need to spend money for basketball camp and baseball camp, all these other expenses. But you're going to dump all this money on a new car that some of that money could have went towards these other things that are, that are necessary. So again, and car buying can be a very emotional decision. And I would say for guys, again, I'm not a what you would call it, these guys who talk about, I'm not a stoic, like stoicism and all that. I'm not necessarily into that. But I think, again, you got to be mindful of your wife's in the car and she loves the car. And she gives you that look. And you give in. Now, again, I know that's your boo. That's your baby. That's, you want to be the man in that situation. But again, know your limits. And sometimes you may have to say, no, not now, or not this car. And you may have to take the next grade down. Again, you got to look at the total plan, the total road that you're on, and don't get off of it. And buying a car that's over your budget can certainly take you off of the financial goals and plan that you started on. And I just think that, again, for a car, like I said, I drive mine to the ground. I've had, last new car I bought was in 2000. I bought a Honda. We just had a family. I bought a Honda Odyssey. Drove that thing to almost 300,000 miles. Got me an 09. In 12, I got an 09. And, and that went just a couple years ago. I got a Hyundai right now, 2020. I'm just going to run to the ground. I got no car payments at this point, and I just rather save that $500, $600, because again, a $50,000 car is going to be a $500, $600 a month bill. I just got other uses for my money at this point. So I would just be mindful. Yes, car maintenance, I think, is going to be as important, if not more so, than car ownership. Young people, I would say, again, if you're doing regular oil changes, 3,000 miles. If you're doing synthetic, 6,000 miles. Especially for young ladies, because y'all don't know nothing about car at all. That's why your daddy's important, or your brothers, or whatever. But again, cars need to be serviced on a regular basis. Make sure you're doing that to extend the life of your car. But the ladies, they just get in the car and just drive, and one don't work. Oh, car don't work. Or what were you doing? Were you taking care of it? Even putting a fuel additive out of the oil change. You put a little. I use like Techron. I put that fuel additive in every oil change. I just put that in to help clean the fuel injection system out. Just the little things like that matter. Even how you drive. Don't force your brakes so much that it wear your brakes out early. I know you got to get comfortable with driving, but don't tear up your brakes. When you come in, when the light turns green, don't floor it coming out. Like, don't do that either. So just little things that you can do, because a brake job's $1,500. So just little things that you can do to, again, help to preserve the life of your cars. Spend your money on other things. Young people, if you like to travel, I would much rather take that extra $400 or $500 and have a fund saved up so I can do some traveling, rather than spending all this extra money for a car that, especially if I'm commuting or taking public transportation, where I'm barely using. Again, it's money down the drain. So again, yes, car ownership is one of the biggest purchases that you'll buy. Don't be in a rush. But again, I would even say for older people, 25 to 30, 35 years old, you got young family or whatnot, get them what is safe. Don't get them necessarily what is cool. And to this day, the best cars I've ever owned were minivans. I don't care. I'm a minivan guy. I'm a minivan dad. I didn't want a truck. I didn't want, again, as far as transporting people, I know one time we had to go down to Virginia. We put 9 people in the car. Transporting people, or if I got to go pick up something from Home Depot or whatever, having that, the flexibility of a minivan. I missed that. When my daughter was going back and forth to campus, moving her out from her dorm, you can put a lot in that minivan. The SUV that I have now, not so much. So, call me a beta. Yeah, I didn't go for the muscle car. I didn't go for the Cadillac Escalade. Cadillac Escalade, it's a big vehicle, but it's got, in terms of just room, there's not a lot of room in those cars. The Ford Explorer, all those cars, all these brothers were getting back in the day, big vehicles. But again, if I got to go pick up a refrigerator, you can't fit it in there. So again, also buy what is needed, not necessarily what you think is cool. And yeah, maybe later down the road, once you get stuff together, you can get the luxury car, you can get your Mercedes, your Lexus, or your whatever. But again, if your family if it's a choice between you getting your Lexus, but your family needs a minivan, get the minivan. Now, I remember one time this couple, they were arguing, had a big fight over it. She was like, I want this nice car, but the husband was like, look, we need a man. We got 3 kids. We need a van. What are you talking about? And she was all in a hizzy because she didn't get her way. This is why the point I was saying earlier. Y'all need to grow up. Y'all be talking about these problems you be having and whatnot because again, you're making these emotional decisions versus the ones again you do what is required. And yeah, you're not gonna look cool driving the minivan, but guess what? My family's getting taken care of. Forget you and all y'all. Take it to the car wash, buff up those tires or whatnot. Look, I got the cleanest, nicest looking minivan out, but I'm going to drive this minivan. So yeah, that's why I got on that salvo there, coach. But yeah, I just think a lot of people, again, making decisions. Again, part of this show is again we're trying to just giving you our wisdom and our experience again in terms of how to make decisions. Don't make dumb ones or emotional ones that set you back. Yeah, it's going to be cool for a minute, but what about the long game? And those are things you got to be mindful of. So, coach, that's my final thought. Your final thoughts and your end, and then we'll close out.
No, I just need 2 minutes, man. Listen, man, we here, man. I think, just anybody that's looking to be better, want to be in a better space, man, make sure you do your research. If you're looking to purchase insurance uh, in any capacity, from personal insurance to, auto insurance, uh, any insurance, home insurance, do your research. Compare companies' rates. Talk to an agent. I would say talk to somebody. Look at the reviews. Just go down that whole gauntlet to make sure you do it with intention. Think about your immediate needs. Children. Think about ages of the children. Again, ask about any discount from veteran discounts to senior discounts to my kids in college discounts. My driving record discounts. If I'm gonna put my cars, my entire, all the cars that I have on the same plan. If you can pay up front, especially the first of the year when you get those taxes, if your plan's renewed that time, you can pay it all, get the payment out the way, and then you can just budget or manage your finances going forward. Like maybe save a couple $100, but yeah, it's important. We all gotta have insurance. It's unfortunate that uh, the rates go up, but pay don't go up. But yeah, I'm just blessed to be in a position to where I can do what I do, uh, and you know, applaud the people that supported me and my wife, who's really learned real quick on the program to save money. And she can see the results of it because she likes to look into her account and be like sending me pictures. I already know I can count it without looking. So again, man, just protect your family, and that's just one way of protecting your family. Making sure you have the insurances needed. So again, just do your research when you're going to purchase a car. Contact several dealerships, several. I don't care. Get the out the door price before you show up at the dealership. If it becomes overwhelming, you lead the conversation. Don't let them dictate to you the car that you want. Um, so if you come in with financing, if you have that document or that verification number, it'll probably give you a slight advantage. Most dealerships want to make at least $2,000 over the what's it called, the MSRP,
Yeah.
because they're going to have the suggested retail price, and then they're more likely going to have the final price. Within that suggested retail price, they want to make at least $2,000 above that. Everything after that, you're going to pay taxes and all your additives and your warranties, and you want to the remember it was big, Brother Benny, with the bug covers on the cars, all of
Yeah.
that. The dealer sells those things, and they sell them at like a 30-40% markup. So
Yeah.
you can negotiate those prices, or you can just go. I always recommend do your research even with AutoZone. If you want to add an accessory, look at AutoZone first. Um, and it may be a lot cheaper to just go that route. And if you do get the dealerships accessories, make sure that they are installing that also, so it can be covered under the warranty. Again, just do your research, and I think, if you're intentional about getting a car, get something within your budget. But in the meantime, between time, make sure your credit is okay. Don't get a lot of overhead, and don't pull your credit at a lot of dealerships. Don't do that. Hone it on the car that you want and make those demands, and they'll typically work out a good deal for you. So,
There you go. There you go. And just as we close out the show again, any questions that you may have on anything that certainly we discussed on the show, again, NXTGN Training 101, Next Gen Training 101 at gmail.com. Send your inquiries that way, and certainly we may entertain your questions certainly on the show. But certainly I want to thank Coach once again for sharing this information. Most of the information I shared tonight, a lot of it came from him, and that just gives me the inspiration to go and inquire and do other things. So when I hit you up, say, yo, send me something, that takes me down some rabbit holes, so I can then bring in the other pieces that made up the presentation tonight. So I appreciate when you send things out to me. But thank you to our guy, to Pete, for the platform, certainly the Sparta HQ Network. Again, for you guys, make sure you hit the like button before you leave the show. Also consider becoming a subscriber to the show, but more importantly, share the content. Again, if you think that what me and Coach are presenting, giving our two bald opinions, show that bald head, Coach, can you just tip the cap a little bit just so you can see? So these two bald brothers here, just giving our opinions on things. But if you can, if you think this is valuable, if you think a person can use this, at least get you thinking in different ways, and then do the research, like Coach said, to actually get professional help and people who can really give you the real numbers. Like I said, we're not here to do that, but just to get you thinking differently. Hopefully for some people, talking them off ledges of decision making that would have led to bad decisions. Hopefully we can be a resource to help you in those endeavors. But stay tuned to the Sparta HQ Network. I think tomorrow night you have your wrestling talk show. On Saturday, you're going to have a hangout show. We're going to talk about AI. And then Sunday, gray area show coming up. So lots of content is going to be coming up on the channel. And just again, appreciate you guys being part of the conversation, and continue just to tune in to, certainly all the content that we have on the network. So for myself, Mr. Bennett, and for the Coach Ferg in the building tonight, this is Next Gen Training on the Sparta HQ Network. Take care. God bless. And we will see you next time. Good night.